everyone, my name is Nurain Sofia binti Ahmad Faris and we are presenting as Group 1. Based on the short film Crow the Legend, there are 3 scenes that have inspired us the most. For me, it is when Crow flies away from his friends after seeing himself got burned from getting the fire for his friends. There, he admitted to Skunk that he was actually feeling very sorry for feeling like he was better than everyone else because of his looks and talents. But then, suddenly, the one who creates everything by thinking made it spring again, so Crow gets to see his true colors shown from his black feathers. He also tried to sing again, but his voice wasn't as good as it used to be. For me, it was inspirational because even though Crow lost his beautiful feathers and his voice wasn't as perfect as it used to be, his friends still likes him and values him for what kind of friend he was, not because of his looks or talents. I have explained my points. Moving on to Iris.
Thank you, Ainin. So, I think my favorite scene is when the Crow and the Skunk have a deep conversation about the anxieties. A Crow mentioned that Skunk produces scent, but he comforts her by stating she's not earthy, but in a pleasant manner. And he also apologized for being selfish. After that, the Skunk states she's like a crow, no voice, and a sparkling feather. And this scene, they kind of comforting each other at that time and began to like themselves. So that's why I like these scenes. So I have explained my point. Moving on to Tamia.
One of the scenes that touched my heart was crows and moth are in the sun. At that point, crows feels a failure in everything, but moth protest what crow says. Moth say that crows is willing to do anything and is willing to sacrifice to save all his friends. Crow asks to Moth, if Moth think like that, Moth replies, it is not him who thinks like that, but Skunk. Skunk really trusts Crow and confident that Crow will take care of them all. This makes Moth and other friends confident with Crow. Here we can see that Skunk is very trusting of Crow in all things, and Skunk is also always positive thinkings towards his friend as well.
Thank you, Damia. So, as you know, Crow is the main character and he's also my favorite character. Why I say Crow is my favorite character because of the title that is Crown. I choose Crown for my favorite character because he is kind. For an example, he helped his friend to find the star well to make all his friends keep warm like before. I mean like the summer. Next, Crow is hardworking and he does not easily give up. For an example, Crow did not mean to drop the wood that has the fire with its tail. He's very panicked because his feather touched the fire, but he didn't give up and take a risk by going to the sun, even though he knows that thing can make it burn. And after that, he's burned because of the sun. Last but not least, I like his natural appearance, like beautiful feathers, and also his voice is not bad too. So that is my point. I will pass to Natasha to conclude our topic. Thank you.
Thank you, Aida. Another of our favorite character is Skunk. The reason why we chose Skunk is because she had confidence in Crow and believed in him until the very end of the story. She was also the one who suggested Crow to meet the one who creates everything by thinking to solve their problem. While everyone were in despair, she kept believing that Crow will try his best to rescue the earth and his friends. She was also there for Crow when he lost his captivating voice and his beautiful feathers that he was quite very known for, and kept on comforting and complimenting Crow that his voice is still wonderful nonetheless.
Before we end this presentation, we will have a little interview for each and one of us to answer. Okay, the first question is, what is something new about yourself that you have found out recently? Something new about myself that I have found out recently is that I always wanted to look perfect in front of everyone even though I am not. Before this, I thought I was just only trying to be a better version of myself, but one day when I was thinking alone, I was having a deep thought and I realized that all these years I've been striving in my education, never saying no to my parents, sacrificing a lot for my friends, and overall taking a good care of my image wasn't because for myself, but it's because I wanted to look perfect in front of everyone. Until I don't even know if I have my own type of personality. It is toxic and tiring to please people every time, but I can't seem to just get rid of the habit just yet. I've been seeking advices from a lot of people and I have realized this is bad for my mental health. I will slowly try to loosen up and start prioritizing myself rather than everyone else. Even though it is important, even though it is good to help people, but our mental health have to be our priority. That is all from my point of view. I will pass this to Airi.
Thank you, Aileen. So, something new about myself I found out recently is that I think I don't make many friends when I first start my university. I aim to isolate myself from others around me because I don't want to be surrounded by my toxic friends. And now I read a lot of books where I had my free times, like a book that's called It Ends With Us, which is about abusive household. This book is one of my favorite, and that's how I found something new about myself. So I have explained my point. Moving on to Damia.
What I just discovered recently, I became a patient person and always positive in all things, because before this I was always impatient and always thought negative, and I was easily upset in anything.
For the questions in number 1, what something new about yourself that you have found out recently? So for this question, I thinking many times because I don't know much about myself. But I just found out that I'm very jealous people. It's a bit extremely, but it start with my jealous towards by my partner. It's a bit bad. Even he just like a photo on Instagram. I don't know why I'm jealous, but before this my level of jealous just normal, but that jealous with my partner is very I also shocked because I just thinking before this I not like this, but why it's changed. That's it.
Thank you, Ida. Something I recently found out about myself is that lately I've become more independent and brave after staying in university rather than before when I was at home. I've been trying to become more friendly and outspoken by greeting people and starting conversations with my fellow friends in psychology major. Other than that, I also have been trying new things for experience and memories to treasure in my life.
Alright, for the second question, have you ever received any act of kindness from stranger or friends? Tell us about it. As for myself, actually, a lot of people have been very kind to me, but there's one time that I will never forget is when I was having a mental breakdown, and then suddenly my friend called me and asked me if I was okay or not. For years, he has always been the first person to ever notice my conditions, like if I was okay or not, if I was happy or not, and I am very grateful for that. At that time, I don't even have any strength to talk or to even explain what was going on inside my head. But I guess he understands, and he started to give and he started to give me a lot of soothing words like, I am proud of you, I am grateful for you, and in his eyes, I am just perfect and good enough just the way I am. I literally broke down after hearing those words because all my life I have never heard people say that to me. After hours of talking and him comforting me, I finally have the strength to talk about my problems, and I felt like all the burdens on my shoulder have been released. So I am very grateful for his kindness and very grateful for his existence. That's all for my point. Moving on to Irish.
Thank you, Ainin. And yes, I have been shown kindness by my friends. It happened shortly after I lost my brother in an accident. They arrived at my residence in the middle of the night to console me. They also collected monies from my classmates to contribute to my family, and my mother was so shocked that she burst into tears. Also, when I'm at my lowest, they do something humorous simply to make me laugh and forget about things that made me sad, and I'm so grateful for them, so thankful for being here with me. And I have explained my point. Moving on to that.
The good thing I received from my friend is that they care about me, especially when I'm sick at school or wherever I am lah. I feel very touched and appreciated and loved by them.
Recently, I found a stranger and she's very kind. That time I'm very stressed and I decide to go to the lake alone at the night. So then after I come to the lake, I saw someone who sit on the chair by the lake alone, and I give her permission to sit behind her, and she's okay with that. So we introduced about ourselves. Then I start to story with her, and actually she's a good listening. And after I share story with her, she's story with her problem with me. So we story a problem until midnight. Okay, before the siren at the hostel, and we also decide to back to the hostels together. By the way, after we story our problems, that problem does not burden ourselves anymore. So that's a good thing actually. And I feel so happy because before this I'm scared to the strangers, like, you know what, we don't know who they are, so we a little bit scared if we want to share a problem with the stranger. But after I talk with her, I think she's very kind, and yeah, she's helped me to fix that problem, and I also help her. So I just want to say, if you have a problem, you must do story, at least just a little bit of that story, but it's okay, at least you not burden yourself. So especially you must do story with your family, because someone will get depressed or stressed if they cannot handle their problems. So I suggest, if we have a problem, we need to story, especially your family or your best friends, like that. That's it.
Thank you, Aida. So far, everyone I have encountered in my life with are people that are always ready to help another person. But I am super grateful to my friends for always making sure I feel included by inviting me to everywhere they go and helping me every time I need anything. It makes me feel very overwhelmed with happiness.
We have finally come to our last question. The last question is, what's your opinion about people being different from one another? Is it bad to be different? In my opinion, being different from everyone else doesn't make us bad, weird, or any less normal from everyone else. Everyone have their own imperfections or differences, and it is okay to be that way because it makes us who we are. If we are only thinking of wanting to fit in with others, we will never feel content or happy until we learn how to embrace ourselves and embrace who we are. For example, people with darker skin tone and larger bodies will feel insecure and have low self-esteem because they think they don't fit in with the beauty standard. But in fact, once they learn how to embrace their differences, they could be just as gorgeous, just as beautiful like everyone else. And sometimes they could even steal the spotlight. Like nowadays, there have been a lot of supermodels, influencers with darker skin and larger bodies on the internet and prove that we are all perfect and beautiful just the way we are. I have heard a quote from Kurt Cobain that said, "I'd rather be hated for who I am rather than being loved for who I am not." And for me, I think it is very meaningful quote for us to remember. That is all from my point of view. Moving on to Aileen.
Thank you, Ainin. Actually, being different is not easy, but I realized that everyone is different and that our differences are the source of our similarities. We as a people have gotten so focused on our differences that we held outside at our similarities. And it was because of this thing that we came together. The same could be said for everyone else if people look past the surface differences and focus on what makes us human. Our commonalities come from our differences as people and as individuals, yet these differences may also serve as the basis for our humanities, togetherness, and power. It's not a terrible thing to be unique. It was because they had a different point of view. They create connection with other individuals or ideas that others had not met before. Though we will never be free all of judgment and discrimination, we may learn to cherish our own distinct point of view. At the very least, we will be able to stop criticizing ourselves. So I have explained my point. Moving on to Damina.
In my opinion, everyone is not the same in terms of abilities or appearance because for me, everyone has different tastes and ways of life. In this life, if everything is the same, we will definitely get bored because everything is the same. There is no difference. A person's appearance can be measured through the way he or she thinks, the way she or he wears, the way he or she looks and cleanses himself or herself. So for me, the appearance should be different for each person so that they complement each other. So that's my explanation. Next, Aida will explain her point of view.
For me, that's not bad to be different because everyone has their own privilege. But we cannot see it. Some people gain ability naturally, but we cannot judge them because it's not a good thing. We need to respect everyone. If someone wants to be a difference, maybe that's a good thing to them for themselves. So, after this, we need to focus about ourselves and respect everyone. Also support them if it's a good thing to people. We don't need to busybody about other people. We need just to focus about ourselves. That's it.
Thank you, Aida. I think it is perfectly fine to be different than other people. Sometimes being different can be fun. Not saying being the same is lame, but different can change people's perspective of looking at the certain things. Like for example, how everyone operates in their own way. Not just because you do not look a specific way, you are any less attractive. Everyone has their own glow that make them different, special, and unique.